Our second speaker is Juho from Samsung Electronics, where he acts as a technical vice president and where he is in this position leading research for mobile communication standards activities in 3GPP. He's going to share us his views on what does it mean when we go towards 6G era.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I think it's still morning. I just arrived here last night. I have some jet lag, but I hope I can be making a good presentation to everyone. So, once again, my name is Juho Lee, and my major job is leading the Samsung activity in standards. So I have been working on 3G, 4G, and 5G, and now I'm also a little bit involved in 6G preparation as well. So the title of my presentation today is Moving Towards 6G. And when I say moving towards 6G, actually I assume that we are now living in the 5G, so probably it's better to see what we have been doing so far in the past, and from that we can expect what we can do in the future. So the start of my presentation is a little bit different from the previous presentations. So I want to first see the ecosystem of mobile industry. Traditionally, we have these mobile network operators and terminal vendors like Samsung, and network vendors like big vendors, Ericsson, Huawei, and others, and also we are also producing some network equipment. Then we have chipset vendors, and we have test equipment vendors. This ecosystem has been working very well until at least 4G. With this positive cycle. So subscribers have increased, and the revenue of mobile network operators have increased. And naturally, there has been some competition between operators, and that competition actually promoted some investment from operators. Then money went to system equipment and terminals, and those vendors actually spent their money for technology innovation and service evolution, etc. And of course, these testing equipment vendors were also involved in this overall cycle. This model has been working very well until 4G at least, but now we have big question whether this model can continue. Is it really sustainable? And that is because of this market forecast. This slide is showing some bright side. So mobile service has been rapidly growing so far, and it will continue to grow in terms of connections and also in terms of subscribers. And we are expecting aggressive 5G launches starting in this year, and of course it will expand in the future. So far, it seems good. But then if you look at growth rate is decreasing, which is not so nice. And ARPU is also decreasing a lot over past years. So with this, then traditional services like mobile broadband may not be good enough, let's say, to be the momentum to keep our industry and our companies, our jobs, and research activities. So IoT is becoming a new growth engine. I think everyone agrees to this, and currently actually we don't have any other choices yet. We don't have clear choices yet. So IoT seems to lead the new growth. So number of connections of industrial IoT and number of connections of consumer IoT is expanding, it is increasing. Yeah, this is a good sign. But this is really enough. Is this really enough? So the IoT is a part of this 5G, let's say, requirements and performance. People call it massive MTC. And of course, when it comes to industrial aspect, industrial IoT, then URLC, ultra-reliable and low latency communication is also becoming a very important part. We have no question about it. But from the end user perspectives, who are paying most of money to companies, the mobile broadband is still a very important part to end users, customers, user people. But you know, as all of us know, it is not clear how we can distinguish in terms of these eMBB services, 5G compared to 4G. So that's a big question. Of course, we are talking about many things, HD videos and virtual reality and augmented reality. Those are good. But still, we have to make all these things happen in real lives, and we have to make sure that people want to pay their money for these services. And of course, we have to make money from all our investment in the IoT and industrial IoT and the connected vehicles, interactive gaming, etc. But now we are just starting 5G, so we are still having big question marks whether these new business models can really succeed, can make success. And I think that is also an important message from previous presentations. And with 5G, we have a new spectrum, which is above 6 gigahertz, like up to 28 gigahertz, up to 40 gigahertz. But again, how can you make money from this new spectrum? This is also a big question. With all these questions unanswered, 3PP anyway still continuing to evolve. So the first phase of 5G standard was released actually, now. Then companies are discussing about future evolution of 5 standards, let's say toward release 16. So we call it phase 2. And the release 16 standards from 3PP is more focusing on support of verticals like smart factories and connected cars, etc. And then what do we do with release 17? So there will be discussions starting in June this year about what we are going to do in 3PP release 17. So naturally, existing services will be further enhanced, like MTC aspect. So of course, we have good support with LTE technologies for MTC IoT, but then there may be desire to support a little bit higher class of MTC services, so we can call it NRMTC. And there is increasing interest in providing broadcast multicast services using 5G technologies. And there will be a study about utilizing new spectrum, even higher frequency bands, like 60 gigahertz, 70 gigahertz, up to 100 gigahertz. And the MEC is also another important aspect from system perspectives. So by putting a very high computing power at the edge, and then we can provide much better services without increasing the device computing power. So this is the roadmap we have. With this roadmap, if everything goes well, then we will succeed in let's say including new players from different industries like automotive and automation and government. Many government are interested in providing public safety. They are interested in utilizing 5G technologies for public safety aspects, like for soldiers or firefighters and police officials, etc. And we are also seeing increasing activity from satellite side. Traditionally, satellites actually have been kind of competitors to mobile industry. I think all of us know the situation very well, especially in terms of spectrum utilization. But now, these satellite companies are also trying to utilize the technologies developed by 3PP to integrate their system into, let's say, overall mobile system. So I think it also well mentioned by previous speakers. So if we go well with this roadmap being planned in 3PP, I think we'll be able to accommodate all these new players in our overall ecosystem. Then it can give us additional growth engine in the future. With that, then 5G can provide more and more verticals and new services. So in the past, we have been more focusing on human-to-human communication. And with IoT technologies, we talked about machine-to-machine communications. And with 5G evolving further in the future, we believe we can also have better connection between human and machines, like augmented system. So if we look back the history, of course, we started from 1G, then there was second generation, third generation, and fourth generation. And now we are working with the 5G. So then what will 6G be? We have big question mark yet. So if we don't make success with the 5G technologies, then basically we cannot keep momentum for developing technologies for 6G. I mean, as pointed out by previous speaker, I mean, we have to continue evolution of 5G in the coming 10 years. With that, we can clearly see what we need to do with 6G. We can keep momentum for 6G. So I would say success of 5G is really important to create industry momentum also for 6G in the future. So in that sense, I think we share common interest between industry and, let's say, academia. So of course, academia has to start to look into 6G from now on. Naturally, they have to start early preparation. But in the meantime, we believe industry has to more focus on monetizing 5G. So then later on, we can converge into a single pass again. It's very early for us to talk about details of 6G technologies, but we see some mega trends towards 6G. The first one is the mobile traffic, increase of mobile traffic. I have been asking my colleagues, hey, come on, please, tell something else. People are always talking about mobile traffic increase, but it seems never-ending story. So, yeah, we are expecting, according to this analysis, we think there will be kind of 8 times increase of mobile traffic toward 2030. So in 10-year time frame, again, there will be very much drastic increase of mobile traffic. And naturally, most of mobile traffic will be attributed to video. So people are saying 75% of traffic will be video. And the super high definition video on mobiles. So our company, Samsung, is working on 8K TV devices. And people are now considering to have this 8K video streams on mobiles as well. And in the future, it may become 64K digital cinema. So of course, in the case, we need to provide very high peak data rate, something like even higher than 200 gigabps. So is this peak rate really, let's say, needed or practical? I don't know. With this form factor, maybe not. But if we have new form factor, like flexible devices for which many companies are working now, maybe we can have this even higher data rate, even higher peak rate, so 64K digital cinemas on mobiles. And along the similar line, super immersive multimedia. The immersive multimedia has been discussed in various forums, various society. But it didn't make big success yet. But we are still considering kind of hologram or super HD VR. With this immersive multimedia, we believe we can keep some big momentum for end users and the customers. And enhanced latency. So it is also related to some points of previous speakers. So we believe it is useful to decrease possible latency to 0. Of course, there may be some non-zero value, but I think that's a good target for 6G. And super precision positioning. So currently, the position accuracy is not so great. So with all these technologies utilizing satellites and also further evolution of the mobile networks, we could provide centimeter level positioning accuracy. And yeah, naturally everything has to be connected in 6G time frame. So perhaps there may be some device types we don't expect yet. For example, this picture shows very interesting scenario. So people can use wall as their screen, like a personal screen, or people can use windows of cars as their personal screen in the future. So everything can be connected. Then the concept of screen can be different compared to now. And artificial intelligence, yeah, we are hearing a lot about artificial intelligence. And of course, many people are working on utilization of AI for optimizing network performance. So, yeah, we think that is also a big trend towards 6G. But then question is it enough to apply AI on network side only, or should we have application AI to device as well, or should we have combination of AI applications on network and device? I think we have multiple possibilities. So overall, moving towards 6G, we think we can continue enhancement of this 5G vision, let's say, further enhancement of eMBB aspects. We call it now super eMBB. I don't know if the word super means really something great, but I think here message is clear. So we need to continue enhancement on eMBB, and we also need to continue enhancement on this massive connectivity, and we need to continue enhancement on URLC aspects as well. And there are some other aspects that are not part of 5G vision yet. So super precision positioning, super high precision positioning, and AI-powered communication. Those two additional things also could be added for the way towards 6G. So that's it. So.
Thank you, Juho. Do we have questions or comments to Juho? Where's the mic?
Thank you, and thank you, Juho. In the end, you didn't answer the first question. Will the current model be sustainable? So I'd like to hear your answer if you have one. Thank you.
Yeah. So if I have to address the question, yeah, we cannot make clear conclusion whether the current model is sustainable, but we have strong feeling that the current model is not good enough to sustain our overall businesses. So, yeah, we have to make success from these new players. That's our bit. I think I can say that that's our view. But of course, we don't want to, let's say, fight with the traditional customers. I mean, the traditional customers like operators are still very important to us. But I think all of us have to work together to expand our overall ecosystem. I think that's good for everyone. Yeah.
Mikko Ustola from Nokia Bell Labs, Finland. As a chip vendor, how do you see the progress with the Moore's law?
So is your question about the relationship between broadcast and our system?
About the Moore's law, about the doubling of computing capacity. How do you see this?
Yeah. You can see it that way, but on the other hand, I see increasing interest from broadcasting operators to utilize our technologies for high power network operation. That's a traditional broadcast operation, right? And it may not be so big motivation for cellular industry to support broadcast with our technologies. But on the other hand, it is also possible to provide broadcast services utilizing cellular networks. I mean, there was try in the past. Then of course, that try was not very much welcomed by broadcasting companies. Then I'm sure there'll be more discussion how to coordinate between these two industries. Then of course, you can also say there's competition about the spectrum, but competition about spectrum, I think, will continue anyway. So that's there's common case between broadcasters versus mobile and satellite versus mobile. The competition about spectrum will continue anyway, but I would say we rather need to see some positive side. Yeah.
I have also one quick question or maybe comment. You categorized potential of IoT to consumer and industrial market segments, but something that in my opinion is not discussed enough is that societies, communities could achieve huge savings in expenditure by serious deployment of IoT technologies, and those could be the third major player. Of course, it's a bit difficult to understand where the money flow comes from and what is the revenue schemes, but that is really, in my opinion, a potential which probably we should address more in 6G era.
Yeah, I think you have a very right point. Yes, I have to agree to that. But as you also pointed out, the money flow is not clear. So from our company perspective, money flow from end users and the customers is very clear. And money flow for, let's say, industrial IoT, industrial aspect is also very clear. But then the other side, probably, we may need to see government becoming more active in spending money, but that's another story, I think.
Okay, time to thank again Juho. Thank you.